My stepmom's dog broke my 2 deciseconds. My stepmother moved in a few months ago, and brought a giant white pit mix with her to our tiny trailer. I carry all of my tech and belongings around the house in an old Nike book bag, for convenience, sake. A month or two ago my orange new 2 deciseconds XL ran out of power, so I stowed it in my bag until I had access to an outlet. She had her computer plugged in, and I was charging my phone. As I bent over in my chair to reach my bag, her giant 170-pound dog comes barreling over with the tippy tappies, along with my 2 black lab golden puppies, and he steps directly on my bag, and I hear a loud crack. I use all of my Nintendo systems regularly, but this one had always by far been my favorite, since I'd received it on my 12th birthday. I use this system practically every day. Anyway, I don't pay any mind immediately, as I assume it was the weak jewel case I had in there. Just some of my school photos my mother had burned onto an old blank CD. But when I went to lie down later that night, I plugged it in to finish my Goo Gorge run in the King Knight campaign. Practically the entire screen had died, only leaving pretty much the top right corner. I immediately went out to the living room, and asked my dad if I could get it repaired, as his Switch had a similar problem a few months prior. I then asked my stepmother, let's call her Zed, to lend me $40-ish to replace the top screen, as it was her dog who broke it, and she just chuckled. I become visibly upset, as I have quite a sentimental attachment to the thing. It's when my mom moved back to my state that I got it, and Zed responds with some generic it's your toy thing, you replace it, or something along those lines. I'm red as a tomato now, on the verge of screaming in her face, which I admit might have been an overreaction, but oh well. And then my dad steps in. He tries to do the 50-50 split. About $25-ish each for THD part and the service charge or whatever, and she starts screaming at the both of us, about how it's his fault since his bag was on the ground, how her dog would never do such a thing, about how it's his stupid toy, etc. After this I storm off into my room, and haven't really spoken to her, and haven't gotten it repaired yet as the guy had a backlog of repairs. 8th for getting so upset with her. AITA after asking for time to finish my assignment and walking back on the apology afterward. Advice needed. I, F21, am dating Vince, M23. Finals are currently coming up and I had a deadline for a group research project which none of my group members really help and expect one other person. The day before it was due I was really trying to complete it, but it ended up looking like I would have to pull an all-nighter. The entire day I was being responsive to Vince's text messages, although it was an hour or two between messages being exchanged and taking about the progress of my project. Once 10 or 11-ish PM rolled around it really started to sink in that I would have to pull an all-nighter, so I messaged Vince. I really need to knock this out right now, so I'ma let you go, good night, sleep tight, I love you. And then Vince responded with, I'm not going to bed but alright I guess, I didn't get to talk to you today. I did read the message but continued to work on my project. Vince messaged again, getting left on read is cool too, with the salute emoji. I then, who was already frustrated with not only my project, group members' situation and him, stated, Vince, I really need you to understand I have a presentation tomorrow. I have to stay up all night since my other members haven't done a single thing to help. It's a research project designed for 5 people. I expressed that I need to get this done by morning class period. And I said good night since you have stated before you would like a good night message even when I'm busy. Vince left me on read and didn't message me at all till the next day in the evening when I messaged him, which is out of character for him. Normally he messages me good morning or at least something throughout the day, but complete silence on his end. And then again the same thing happened the next day, so I messaged him again and started to have a conversation. After a few exchanges I messaged him asking if he was doing anything the next day, which he replied no, why. And I asked if he wanted to do something since I wanted to talk about what happened the previous day, since it felt like we were tiptoeing around one another. He responded with, I'm not tiptoeing around anything, you blew up on me so I'm giving you space and letting you talk to me when you want to. So I responded with, I'm sorry for blowing up, I was just trying to ask for some time to complete my project on that particular night since it was due in the morning for class. He then proceeded to explain that's why he wasn't talking to me and giving me all the time I need, which I then said, I only asked for time on Sunday night, Monday morning, and he said, I DK about you but I'm in no mood to talk to someone when they blow up on me. After he said that, it got me thinking about how I responded the other night and went back to look at our messages, and after reading what I sent I felt like I don't really blow up on him but was explaining why I wasn't as time responsive and said good night, early, which is probably where I messed up, so please let me know. Anyways, so I messaged back, Honestly, I don't think I blew up. I was asking you to understand the situation I was in and why I wasn't responding as actively and saying good night to you. After saying that, things went downhill from there. He responded with, but you just said you're sorry for blowing up. Saying, Vince, I need you to understand. To me that's blowing up. I was picking a fight with you. I wasn't trying to start anything. All I said was we didn't get to talk that much and you left me on read from it. Which still wasn't picking a fight, so to me yes, you did blow up. And then I said I was apologizing since I remember the chaotic state I was in, but when looking back at the messages at what was said, I don't really think I blew up since I was trying to explain the situation. He proceeds to tell me that walking back on an apology is a slap in the face, and he states, I'm not sure what you want me to say here. That you won, that you're right, you saying sorry then walking it back and saying what I'm feeling is incorrect is a huge slap in the face, especially when I literally just proved my point in the last text. Every time we get into an argument he somehow turns it into a winning, losing situation. He also proceeds to say walking back on an apology rubbed him the wrong way and speaks a lot about me and my character. I just don't know anymore and need some advice. AITA for telling my GF that my ex-wife was tighter. I, M39, hate it when people mke fun of others. I mean, I know that people can gossip and talk amongst friends about other people, and I am guilty of that too, but I got very upset when my GF, F32, started talking about my ex-wife, F42. I understand that disliking an ex isn't abnormal or anything, but my GF is obsessed with my ex-wife and always try to make bad remarks about her. When it is just to me, I don't care because again people gossip and talk shit about others in the privacy of their own homes. But this time it was at a restaurant with some of her girlfriends and spouses. Somehow the discussion became about my ex-wife's vagina. Yes, don't ask me how, but they were discussing childbirth and body changes, age, etc., and my ex got dragged. My GF was a bit drunk and she was talking loudly. I hated it and asked her to stop talking. When I get upset she doubles down because she starts thinking, why do you care? Why don't you want me to talk shit about your ex? She has told me this before. Now she was talking about how my ex-wife must have a huge one. We have 2 children together, F4, M2. The girls started laughing and saying EWWWWWW. I yelled to stop but they ignored me. Then my GF told me, why are you so agitated, did we hit a nerve? I said actually no, my ex-wife was the tightest woman I have had. I don't know how she managed it, but she's very tight. They became silent and my GF started crying. Then the women started yelling at me and their spouses were between amused and scared. Then one of the spouses said, yeah, I don't think childbirth really affects this. I haven't noticed difference with women I have dated. I felt gratitude, but I was still being yelled at and my GF has not called or answered me since Saturday. I'm so tired.